Okay, I'm finally back, and as I mentioned in a previous video, I want to do a comparison video between the Aurora 22-inch roller bag and the Executive 22-inch roller bag from Luggage Works. I don't know. Just a quick background, I purchased the Aurora 22-inch roller bag back in August of 2019 while working at SkyWest. And while in Panama, as in the country, on a layover this year, I noticed that the zipper was ripped beyond repair, and that was due to excessively dragging the bag over the ground over the course of about 4 years. As a result, I realized that I needed a stronger bag, and after doing a little research, I settled on the Executive 22-inch roller bag from Luggage Works. I will admit to you that when the box showed up on my doorstep, I looked at it and thought immediately, oh no, I made a huge mistake. It just looks so small. I've been using this bag for about 3 months now, and I definitely have some things to say about it, both positive and negative. I will go ahead and discuss the positive things first, and the first positive is the bag's durability. It is much more durable than the Aurora 22-inch bag. And believe it or not, the Executive bag is actually advertised to be lighter than the Aurora bag by about 0.3 pounds. So I think that the overall durability and lightness of the Executive bag is much better than the Aurora bag. Positive number 2, I like how the Executive bag actually condenses my stuff down a lot more. Look at how much better this thing slides in. I've talked in the past about how I really liked the expandability option of the Aurora bag, but I will say that once you pack that bag, if it's pretty full, those items will shift around quite a bit. I also mentioned in my last video that if you do pack a lot in this bag, which I do because I'm gone for 7 days, that shifting around causes this overhang, which in turn is what caused my zipper to rip because I would drag the bag across the ground. That's not a problem at all with the Executive bag because it has this hardened plastic plate on the bottom, and I've just grown to appreciate how it keeps everything nice and compact and ultimately protected when you're on the road. Now, the advertised dimensions are nearly identical, but the Aurora bag does give you 1 more inch of depth. The Aurora also allows for 45 liters of total storage, while the Executive only gives you 40.4 liters of storage. Originally, I would have told you that that's a negative for the Executive bag, but I've hardly noticed a difference, which actually leads me into my third positive, and that is the extra storage compartments on the Executive bag. With all the additional compartments in this bag, I feel like it helps me stay much more organized, and it's easier to ensure you are consistently bringing all the same stuff, because I know what is supposed to be in each pocket. The Aurora bag didn't have all this on the outside, and I think if you take into account the extra little compartments and pockets that the Executive bag has, and what you can truly cram into that bag, you're not gonna notice a huge difference between the two. Number 4, which might be actually kind of dumb, is I like how easily this handle slides up and down in the Executive bag. It just wasn't nearly as smooth in the Aurora bag. In fact, I mentioned in episode 2 of the Pack Like a Pilot series how I was concerned about how well that handle would hold up in the long run. I worry about this handle. The handle is aluminum, and so I'm always afraid that this thing is eventually just gonna break. In spite of all that, the Aurora handle did just fine, but with the Executive bag, you can stow it so quickly that it just makes it easier and quicker to get it in and out of the plane and in and out of a car. This actually kind of brings me to my first negative, and it actually has to do with the handle on the Executive, and it was just one particular trip that I was on. It was day 1 of 7. I'm commuting from Atlanta to Charlotte. I'm at the bottom of the jet bridge, and I go to put the handle into the bag, and it will not go down. That's not supposed to happen. And I noticed that it's slightly bent. There's a curve right here in the metal. Kind of humps right there. It's supposed to be sitting much flatter like that. And I think what happened is the night prior, my daughter might have knocked it over when the handle was extended, and I think it just bent it slightly. And then when I was walking through the airport, I guess maybe I bent it enough where it just would not go into the bag. And I started to panic. So finally, I'm like taking stuff out of the bag, trying to reorganize it, and finally I just shoved it down in. You could just hear kind of like the metal grinding. But I had to get on the plane. I made the commute, but it did pose a significant problem for me. Now, I know that I've knocked that Aurora bag over a number of times, and it never did anything to the handle. So that is just something to keep in mind, that this handle will bend, and if it does, it will not go down smoothly, and you might panic like me. But during the course of the trip, I would actually have to just pull the handle out of the bag store it with the handle next to it, and then when I got it out of the plane or out of a car, I would set it down and just like snap the handle back in just on the top, just so that I could actually pull the bag around. All right, here we are again, getting ready to leave. Just put this here. It works. It's a good temporary fix until I can figure out what to do. So. Luckily, I did email Luggage Works and they just sent me a brand new handle. It's pretty easy to actually fix. All right, so here's an example of what a good handle is supposed to look like. Goes up, clicks into place, you take these little switches, and it falls down. That's a new handle. Luggage Works sent it to me for free. It's awesome. The second negative about the executive bag, and I actually noticed it immediately, and it also has to do with the handle, is that the handle is much shorter on the executive bag than it is on the Aurora bag. It definitely messed with the center of gravity with my cockpit bag. I really had to adjust it to get it just right. And I have found that when I'm pulling it like through the airport, I feel like I'm just pulling a little bit harder with the executive bag over the Aurora bag. That couple of inches on that handle makes a huge difference, I guess, in terms of the leverage and fulcrum or whatever other physics term you want to call it. I just think that the Aurora bag is a little easier to pull. And if you're a super tall person, I don't know, the executive bag may not be the best bag for you. I do think the metal frame bags have a longer handle. Don't quote me on it, but I think maybe they're a little bit better. The number 3 negative, and I would say this is more of a comparison to the metal frame bags, is that I found over the course of 3 months, there's already some significant wear to like the plastic edges of this bag. And I know that's what they're designed to do. Ultimately, it's a frame that's gonna protect your stuff, but it's just something that I'm gonna have to continue to monitor. I didn't realize that it would get beat up so quick, I guess. The number 4 and last negative that I can think of is that the executive bag is more expensive than the Aurora bag. The Aurora bag comes in at about $200 US without tax, and the executive bag is $300 US without tax. Now, I think you are paying more for the durability of the executive bag, and I do hope to get a few more years out of this bag than I do out of the Aurora bag. And honestly, if you think that's expensive, I was in a Kohl's the other day on a layover, and I went back and looked at the luggage, and these Travel Pro and Swiss Gear bags were like 180 bucks, and they're not nearly as durable as either the Aurora or the executive bag. Additionally, these Away and Toomey bags, which I guess are like all the rage with the Instagram and YouTube influencers, and I have noticed them much more in the airport, they're like between $275 and $1,000. So I don't think $300 is expensive for a bag that I use every other week, which is advertised to last pilots for like 10 plus years. Beyond the small negative things mentioned, I'm definitely very pleased with the executive bag over the Aurora bag. And I'll tell you when I first noticed it is on my first deadhead, when I was pulling the bag out of the overhead compartment. Whenever I do that with the Aurora, I feel you could physically feel things shifting. It would almost kind of just, I don't know, it was like cumbersome to get out of the overhead compartment. And when I pulled the executive bag out, it was just so compact and smooth, and I just really appreciated that little thing. Okay, that's it. Don't know when I'm gonna do the next video. I like doing these little review videos. If you like it, like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate the support, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. I never know. I never know how to end these things, you know? I just don't. I don't.